Okay, we are live.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for the ESSER 3 Forum. The plan for today is just so everyone is aware, we are streaming to Facebook Live and we will be recording. Sorry, I'm going to go ahead and set that up. And so we're going to start with a short presentation, and then really we want to hear from you and your ideas about how you think we should be using the ESSER 3 funds. So I'd like a couple people to introduce themselves. John, if you'd like to go first, that would be perfect.
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is John Lanza, the Senior Director for Grants and Federal Programs. And this grant you're going to hear about is managed through the Grants and Federal Programs Department.
Perfect. Renee Weatherless, would you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Hello, Renee Weatherless. I'm the Executive Director of Finance.
Fina Johnson.
Hey, I'm Fina Johnson, and I'm the Director of Finance.
Tanya Spiegel, would you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Tanya Spiegel, and I am the Project Technical Specialist for ESSER.
Great. And Olivia, would you introduce yourself?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Olivia Cáceres, and I am the Program Coordinator for the ESSER program. Thank you.
Sure. Terrific. So thank you all very much. And so how this is going to work is after the presentation, we'll ask you all if you'd like to speak to please put your name and your school in the chat. I'll then call on you one by one. You'll have approximately 1.5 minutes to share your ideas. And then if you aren't called on for some reason, about 5 minutes before the forum is complete, I'll let everybody know. And you can place your ideas in the chat and we will copy them down. Or you can always send an email to answers2020@TUSD1.org. So with that, John, I'm going to turn it over to you to do your presentation. Thank you, everyone.
Great. Thank you, Leslie. Okay, I am going to take us through, get this up and going here. I'm going to take us through a quick overview of the ESSER grants, and actually ESSER grants. There are actually 3 of them. Specifically, though, we're going to look at ESSER 3 today, and kind of the outcome we're looking for is to get feedback from all of you as TUSD staff members of just ideas and needs for the ESSER funds as we start to develop plans for these in our district. So first, just start kind of with an overview. You see that there are 3 different ESSER grants that have occurred. Actually, going back just almost exactly a year, ESSER 1 began. I will kind of point out to you that each one of these 3 grants, these are federal grants, and these are similar to our Title I funds that some of you are aware of in our schools. So they do follow a set of guidance and have different purposes for them than Title I or than other grants that we have. But there are regulations around each one of these that we have to follow, and that's where it comes into the grants department. Also keep in mind that each one of these 3 grants is funded, or it began with a stimulus package at the federal level. So just as many people have received stimulus money over the last year due to COVID, that is the exact same money and start point as these funds, federal funds due to COVID and the pandemic. And this is, again, stimulus that you will hear is kind of behind all this, is a stimulus money. You will also hear the term CARES Act or American Recovery Plan. Those are the different versions of the stimulus money that has come through, and each one of these is a result of that. So first, ESSER 1, our district received $18.5 million. The dates that you see there are actually the end dates for the grants. So that money began last summer, and the end date for that is September 30th, 2022. We are basically at the end of that grant. Final purchasing and reimbursements for the grant are going through the state at this time. That money, the main use of that over the last year has been for PPE, a lot of the sanitation, a lot of the things that we knew we did with virtual learning last year with our kids and our staff. And so that was really kind of in the midst of the COVID pandemic, a lot of the quick responses that we needed with funds. And that essentially is done at this point. ESSER 2, 76.3 million, that became available in the last several months in the spring. That was something that was available to us, and that ends September 30th, 2023. Currently, that is the most recent governing board meeting. Actually, I guess in the beginning of June, that governing board meeting specifically dealt with ESSER 2 and the allocation of it. And over March and April, there was a staff survey. We had over 800 staff members respond with input for that. You may have heard your schools have presented school proposals. So your principals have gathered information. They've worked with site councils. They worked with leadership team, the school staff. So 88 schools have submitted budgets and proposals. Departments within the district have also submitted proposals, and those budgets have been gone through and allocated. And again, in June, the governing board did approve the use of that ESSER 2 dollars, 76.3 million. Today, our focus is on ESSER 3. This was recently released funds, 172.9 million to our district. These funds go through 2024. And so the red, and really the reason why it's in red is really to highlight that the focus here is ESSER 3 dollars. And that fund or that grant actually had some additional requirements. You can see meaningful consultation with stakeholders. It requires input from stakeholders within our district. So obviously staff members, but there will be steps taken with the community, having input from the community and different groups that represent our district. ESSER 3 also requires a plan. So you will see before the start of the first day of school, we will be developing a plan to show the public how we are using ESSER 3 dollars. So that's the big difference with ESSER 3. It has those two new pieces that require us to gather input from across our district as we develop that plan. A little more detail on the requirements of ESSER 3. You can kind of read through the bulleted items, but the meaningful consultation is what we are participating in right now. We want input from people that are going to be affected by ESSER 3 and involved with ESSER 3. 20% of the funds of ESSER 3, we're required to set aside to address learning loss. And this can look lots of different ways that this can be addressed, but summer school would maybe be the most relevant one right now. Summer school at all of our sites is meeting this need of using the ESSER dollars to meet learning loss. You will also probably see you will see at your schools extended day learning, things like tutoring, additional academic support outside of the school day. All of that is what that 20% can be categorized as. We're also required to address academic impact of lost instructional time, getting our students caught back up in instruction. So you will see a lot of intervention focuses coming out of this money. You'll see also, it is real clear and stated over and over, social, emotional, and mental health needs of students. And that is where within the district, you've probably heard some more emphasis on counselors being funded through ESSER 3, social workers, providing additional support through a district-wide social emotional program. Those are all things that are being planned and built into next year to meet that requirement. An additional requirement addressed the disproportionate impact of COVID-19 on vulnerable student populations. So this is very specifically stated in there as our subgroups of students, specific subgroups of students at schools. The requirements of this grant is that we identify how we are using the money to support the vulnerable student populations in our subgroups in our school. And then the second to last one, prevent and mitigate strategies for COVID spread. This is similar to all the other ESSER grants, things like PPE items, a lot more sanitation, making sure our schools are safe, that we've got healthy protocols in place. And that's, again, we're very familiar with those over the last year. That would be a continuation in ESSER 3 that's required. And then finally, the development of a plan. It needs to be available by the first day of school, communicated out to the public, and then updated every 6 months during the life of this grant. These 7 items here are basically what we've used to guide a lot of our decisions with the ESSER grants. The documentation on this is pretty broad, but there really are 7 major areas that basically are needed for requirement for items to be eligible to be funded through ESSER. Academic loss, educational technology. You've seen this with a lot of our one-to-one initiatives, getting computers and hotspots available to students, but also staff is something that has fallen under that educational technology, getting technology for our staff. Mental health support, social emotional learning. I've talked a little bit about counseling and social worker support. Recruitment and retention, this is geared more towards the staff. The intent of recruitment and retention was, again, COVID related, retaining staff as we went through the pandemic, and then recruiting staff and keeping staff in place through the pandemic. PPEs, face mask and sanitation that was needed at that time. Distance learning initiatives, you've seen many of those, but a lot of the online virtual curriculums and different tools that teachers have had available to them have been funded through a lot of our previous ESSER grants. And then minimizing transmission, again, cleaning and just different mitigation strategies to reduce the spread of COVID. We'll come back to these items. This is really kind of the focus point for this group. We want to get your input on these 7 items. What specific ideas do you have of how we can use ESSER dollars in these 7 areas? I will also remind everybody that the ESSER funds, they are in response to COVID. You can track every single one of these 7 things back to COVID or the pandemic, in response to it, in recovery to the COVID pandemic. Whatever we use the ESSER dollars on has to always kind of point back to in response to COVID and in recovery to the COVID pandemic. This slide here is kind of give you an idea of the feedback that we received from the staff. When we did the survey, again, in March and April, these were the 4 main areas that came back. We had over 800 individual staff members participate in the survey, and each staff member gave a lot of different feedback and individual comments and suggestions. The number 1 was academic loss. 463 individual comments or suggestions about that. Technology followed up with 398, social emotional support, and then retention. So you can kind of see where a lot of the emphasis was for the staff when that survey went out earlier a couple months ago. This is a summary of the school requests. Again, every school, the principals put together proposals. They got feedback from their school and the site council groups there. And these were the main categories. This is not comprehensive, but this does give you an idea of the major areas that were coming from the schools as requests for using ESSER dollars. And that was primarily ESSER 2 we were gathering this information for, but this gives you an idea of the categories that were emphasized from the schools. And again, an example just to kind of help you get a picture of some of the items and the direction and how this has come together. This is an example of individual items that schools proposed and that were eligible for ESSER funding. This list is actually, I think there's 400 or more items on this list. This is just a quick snapshot so you can get an idea of items. And then you can see those 7 categories again that they fall into. So again, this is what we want to be able to gather from you today is your input. And then be able to really connect it back to one of those categories so that it is ESSER eligible. And this is our final slide that I think I'll keep up so we can stay focused on these areas. These are the categories that we want to receive your input on and ideas of how we could use these ESSER funds within our district, within your school, and really be able to pinpoint the needs and make sure that they're going to where the need is. So Leslie, I will go ahead and stop there, and it's okay, just keep this slide up, and this is what we want to get input on.
Great, thank you, John. Perfect. So we do have a couple people who've asked to speak, and then I see in the Facebook comments there's some thoughts there that will go to Vivian after we have a couple of these speakers. The first person to speak is Kelly O'Brien from Wheeler Elementary. So Kelly, go ahead. Kelly, are you here?
Yes, I'm sorry. I was trying to find out how to get my phone to let me speak since I'm on my
Oh.
phone. I apologize.
No worries. Thank you. Go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. I worked very close with my principal and leadership team in going through, an academic idea of what we'd like to do with the funds. But one of the things that we really felt strongly about that was missing is the idea of having a PE coach. And it falls into a couple of categories. First of all, I feel like it plays into our retention. If we had students that were actively getting proper training in sports and actual things like that, it's going to improve our retention and keep students with us rather than going to other schools that have better sports programs. Two, it will increase the elementary sports program leading into middle school, which then will also connect to retention. The second feeling that we had is that by doing this, it would really increase social and emotional needs. There's no better way to teach kids how to work with each other is through sports and gaming and good sportsmanship. And finally, because we're not required to give the students 30 minutes every single day, if we had a certified PE teacher, that teacher could be taking students out, making sure they're meeting their minutes while we're pulling students in as school teachers for academic individual one-on-one help. So it's really fitting into interventions, school retention, and social emotional. So that's kind of our idea that we wanted to have heard, that, and it's not on the list, it's not formally there like an art teacher is there, which is another great opportunity for us. But I feel like the PE is a really good time since we've got those extra minutes to add into academics. And I will stop there unless you have a question.
Great. Thank you, Kelly. That's great ideas. The next speaker is, and I'm sorry if I destroy your name, Marisa Sanz de la Guerra from McCorkle.
Good afternoon, Leslie and all. Thank you for, can you all see me this way? Because I rotated my phone. Okay, great.
Yes, you're good.
Oh, perfect. I would like to say this summer I had the pleasure of being an ESSER teacher at Maribel McCorkle during the summer school. I was one of the middle school math interventionists there at our school. I do want to say that ESSER is under academic loss and incorporating education technology through iReady was really great. And I have data to prove that. So it is working. I would like to say that. It does take patience and of course, students to come in. The campus was clean, always safe. So that helps a lot. The involvement of parents sending their children to school, knowing that they had a challenging school year, but they still send them. So that's on the positive. What I would like to see a little bit more is maybe if we could, I don't know how other campuses feel about this, about having maybe monitors or call them additional support staff on campus. PE teachers, I like to piggyback on that prior colleague, TUSD colleague as well. That would be very helpful. Getting our children out there to exercise not only provides happy and endorphins, but they get to socialize and play a sport and learn strategies and work together collaboratively. So these are, I hope that they continue to do these things, but this is my input as not only as a teacher, but a parent of a McCorkle student as well. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Marisa. I very much appreciate it. Vivian, would you like to read some of the comments? I see we have quite a few coming through Facebook. And then if other people have something they want to say, please put your name in the chat so that we can call on you.
Definitely. So we've got, okay, yes, you can hear me. We've got a couple of comments on Facebook, and I'll summarize and go through what we've got, because we do have some repeated ideas. So one of the first things that does come up is update to school facilities, classroom furniture and technology, which I assume would fall under educational technology. Promethean boards are specifically mentioned several times. We also do have comments about updating the water fountains to the ones that are at the dispensers. Like, you can put a water bottle and it dispenses water into an actual water bottle. As far as updating schools and facilities. Sorry, we've got a few. We do have another comment to offer before and after school tutoring to help with the academic loss and those gaps. We do have several in support of additional monitors as well. Some of the comments that were just spoken here. We also mentioned funding for the arts. So I would assume that also might fall under retention. And one of the last things to come up before I throw it back to you, Leslie, is the smaller class sizes. Oh, and we did have one more about substitute pay to help some of those teaching gaps as well, which could possibly fall under retention. I'm not sure. So that's what we have for now. Everyone watching on Facebook, please continue to submit your comments so we can share those. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Vivian. All right, so the next speaker is Sasha Corti from Booth Pickett.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sasha Corte, and like Leslie said, I'm at Booth Pickett. And so in sharing my suggestions, I'm really just reflecting over this past year, as well as the opportunity to serve as our summer school coordinator. So very thankful for the funding. Our students enjoyed it. Thinking about educational technology, I think definitely looking at an update for instructors, practitioners, teachers, and teaching assistants devices, whether that be new laptops or updated tablets, something that we can actually use as we're getting new updated in technology around the room. We're getting updated Promethean boards, we're having airtime devices, things that will that kind of make it a little bit easier for us to truly educate our scholars. I also think about recruitment and retention. I apologize if this is not solely recruitment and retention of employees, but I think as a practitioner in the classroom, one thing that's going to definitely keep me involved with Tucson Unified is a district who believes in me and supports me in attending national trainings, whether that be via Zoom or actually attending. I know we do have professional development opportunities within our district, but sometimes it's also nice to learn from someone who's not within the same organization as you, as we've all experienced this past year, and we want to know and grow together outside of Tucson and see what's happening and how we can attack academic loss. So those are my two suggestions. Thank you.
Sorry, I muted myself, went the wrong way. Thank you for sharing those ideas. That's great. The next speaker is Lillian Martinez from School Safety.
Hi, everybody. So we have a couple ideas here at the department. So I'm going to go down the list from the academic loss, educational technology. So from going down the list for educational technology, we would like to see more smart boards and computers and desktops. Right now, we lack those. We have to share, the officers have to share them, and we have to figure out how we can get those all covered between the department. So it would be really helpful to have one for each officer in the department. And with the trainings, because we do CPR trainings, EPS trainings, if we had more smart boards in the rooms, it would be easier to project them and show and teach and train our whoever comes in for the trainings. Going down the list again, the PPE, we would like biohazard suits and gear for our officers to keep in the vehicles. That way, again, in case of a breakout, and we need to get our officers into the different sites, into the different departments, we'll have the PPE and the biohazard equipment that needed. They can have a little briefcase with everything in there. They take it out and they go to that area where they need to, and it'll have, for the students, they can have different sizes, the small, medium, and large, if they need to put it on a child, if they need to put it on another employee, and those will be ready in the vehicles, ready to go. So for minimum, and it also is the minimizing of the transmission, because we have to take the children from one area to the other, and it doesn't affect, they don't affect us, or the children aren't infected and transmitting it from one way to another. For the other item that we would like to also discuss is or if we can get an idea for the CPR equipment, because right now, again, we don't have enough CPR equipment. So we have to, again, share it and clean it and disinfect it. So like more of the CPR dummies, because, you have to put your mouth on them. If we had more of the dummies to share, and the supplies that goes in them to clean them out, and again, to minimize the spread. So that's another one of the items, and more of the CPR items, and the tables, the chairs that go with it, so we can separate that social distancing and that social requirement that's needed. Another one of the things that we would like is called the Keystone Program. And it's a program that we run in the key control area, where we service the entire district. We would like, right now it's a stationary program that we have at one station. If we get the updated version of that, we can put it on different laptops, and then we can have those laptops outside, and when we can all be spaced out. It's a compatible program with our district. We already use it. We would just need a newer version of it to be installed in different laptops. And again, it minimizes the transmission between the employee coming in and using the same computer that the other employee used, and minimizing the transmission.
Perfect.
That's all I had. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Lillian. Appreciate it. Those are some different ideas that we don't hear often, since we want to hear from all the departments. Vivian, do you have a couple more things from Facebook?
Yes, we do. I just want to make sure, can everyone hear me? We had a couple of comments they weren't able to hear.
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Better now. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. So we do have some more comments about offering more physical and artistic activities. We have teachers talking about the Full Steam Ahead programs this summer, and it was a lot of hands-on learning. So to be able to continue to have supplies to continue that project-based learning and STEAM instruction is a suggestion that we had. We also have a comment talking about funding for all before and after school programs, such as MESA, coding, all girls clubs, sewing, arts and crafts, things like that, is another suggestion that we had. Also, just still scrolling here. Another comment we have is enough special education teachers to get around to all inclusion classes rather than just the limited time that they have every week. And that's what we've got for now. We've got a couple more coming in, so I can read those after we listen to some of the suggestions here in the meeting. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Maria Lopez, you had put down an idea. Would you like to share that, please? Maria? Otherwise, I'll read it. One of the things that Maria suggested was having some additional mental health support in every school, which is great. We also had Erica Jung, who in the comment box supported having more sports programs in the middle schools and creating those. Kelly O'Brien, you had a couple comments. Would you like to share those, please? Maybe not.
Sorry, had to find that speaker button again.
That's
I was
fine.
just saying that I am the TT&L at Wheeler, and I do know that working with my principal, that there's a lot going on with tech services. I work a lot with the budget on the Promethean boards. I was just kind of wondering a timeline, because we have individual school budgets and we don't necessarily want to spend school budget money if technology services is going to do it. So that's just kind of something to add in there, like a timeline, so we would have a better idea of the updated technology that's coming into classrooms at individual schools. And secondly, I also run the student council, and a lot of the students do want clubs, like one of the colleagues was saying, and a lot of those could be run through student council with teacher involvement. So maybe one way would to be having minimal stipends for people that do want to do clubs. I know a lot of our teachers are very artistic, are musically inclined, you know, an after school club, which helps provide some of that quote unquote time that parents can't get their student, take them away from that daycare aspect where there is something educational in the arts going on, or book club, theater club, things like that would also really work on that retention. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The next speaker, and I know you put this in the chat, but I'm going to ask you to please explain, Justin Enriquez. If you wouldn't mind sharing your idea.
Hi, yes. I apologize. I have my son with me. That's why I put it in the chat. A lot of I'm a music teacher at Tucson High, and a lot of our instruments are in disrepair. So that is necessary technology tools that we need to be able to teach. Also, I believe new uniforms will help to boost confidence in students. A lot of the uniforms that we find are also in disrepair. Coming out of this, excuse me, I'm out of breath. Coming out of this pandemic, I think if, students had new uniforms to reinstill pride, not only in their art, but in their school, and, what we use our music to represent in the larger community. So I don't know if that falls under social emotional learning, but I know a lot of kids were starving for some kind of artistic outlet. And I think if we're able to provide them with, newer technology, newer uniforms, they can get re-excited about our programs and such.
Thank you, Justin. I appreciate that. The next speaker is Daniel Sanchez from the Assessment and Evaluation Department.
Hi, happy Thursday, everybody. And thanks, Leslie. I'll start just by framing this, given the context that we're going to be anticipating these supplemental funding for the next, I think it was 3 years or so. I think it's really important to keep in mind that during that interval in time, not only the immediacy of the need for our students and our staff, given the academic impact we've incurred during COVID, but also the turnaround and kind of limited additional funding that's going to be a surge and certainly a surplus, but trying to strategically allocate it in ways that are going to help sustain and as well as address the immediate needs. So to be a little bit more specific in terms of academic impact, I would encourage our organization to seek out community partnerships or resources that could reinforce our tier 2 and tier 3 services and supports, in part to directly service our students and also to alleviate some of that burden from our classroom teachers. In terms of educational technology, I'd ask that this committee and this group consider ways to incorporate training resources that are sustainable, that can account for not only the initial training and implementations, but ongoing and onboarding training services, and also look for ways to consider educational technology as it ties into all of these other different components that are listed here on the slide. But I'll emphasize the distance learning element to that, given that that'll be, virtually rooted there. But those are the primary things that I'm hopeful that we can incorporate into all the other wonderful ideas that have been shared during the session. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Daniel. Vivian, I believe you have some more things from our Facebook Live audience.
Yes, we've gotten quite a few comments, most in regards to mental health, and there's some great, really unique and diverse ideas that I'll just go through. One suggestion is intervention meetings for mental health in schools, disclosing it to parents with children that are enrolled in TUSD. Having every school with a plan for parents when addressing mental health is a great idea, which I agree. We also have a comment about physical education, which I know has been brought up a couple of times. Definitely during the pandemic, we had a lot of students who were, itching to get outside and have some physical activity, which definitely contributes to mental health. Let's take a look. We also have a comment about adding or overhauling a couple of bathrooms to be gender non-specific to support our students who identify as such, for mental health support as well. Another comment, having funding for every grade level to have a field trip every semester, so kids can do some more learning outside of the classroom. And that is what we have for now, and I can go over some more after the next couple of suggestions from the meeting. Thanks.
Great, thank you. All right, we don't have another speaker yet, but people have written a few things in the chat, so I'll just read those. Susan Silverman suggested more infrastructure support is needed for our school gardens and using the outdoor teaching spaces. Which is great. I know my daughter loves that at her school. Lorraine Hetchel from Choya has let us know that she believes that if we can do anything to adjust the pay as well as lower the class sizes, that would be a huge help to the teachers as well as for learning. And make everyone more effective as they're teaching their students. And then Lillian, I don't know if you want to share your next idea.
Sure. It's for the back of the vehicles. It's like a plastic liner that would go on them to again prevent the infection to be spread or transmitted. It would be easily wiped down with a Vindicator. And we have the company that installs that they're our vendor, but it would that's what it is mainly. It's a cover that goes on the seats. You can put it on there and wipe it down with the rag, and again to prevent the transmission from one student to another from the adults. If we need to take the students to and from, or even the employees to and from, prevents the spread and the transmission of.
Great.
Thank you.
No, thank you. The next speaker is Charlie Danella from Kelland.
Hi, thank you, Leslie. Ooh, sorry about that. I'm not sure why it's doing that. but let me check something.
Thank you. Do you have a phone too close to your computer?
No, I don't. But skip me for now and I'll try to figure out what's going on.
Okay, thank you. All right, one of the other options that came up was from, sorry, I have to get here, from Erica Jung, and she said the whole country is having trouble hiring. We have positions opened at our school through ESSER funds, but no application. Maybe an incentive hiring bonus would help. A lot of our kids are being kept at home to babysit siblings, so maybe more daycare in our community would also be helpful. So thank you for that. Catherine suggested the biggest impact for addressing every need that our students have would be smaller class sizes. 30+ students in some elementary school classrooms is too many in a typical school year without the added issues that arise from being in a pandemic. Excuse me. And then we have Joshua Warren from Saguaro. Did you want to speak?
Yes, I did. I teach math, and I'm very concerned about the academic loss that I know all of our students are facing. There are many reasons for that, but one of the big problems that we have, it isn't just that we don't have enough teachers, it isn't just that our class sizes are too large, but we also really need to somehow or other address the issue of how we get the state to allow us to waive regular standards, to go back over the standards, and to take a deeper dive into certain core areas, which is what you see in other countries, particularly in Europe, where there's a better track record when it comes to teaching the subject of math. I suspect too that this is an issue across the board. And I really think that we need to look at that.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Warren. Vivian, do you have a few more comments that you'd like to share?
Yes, so we do have one comment that well, a couple of comments. I'll start with this one about bringing in outside support people or experts in their field to teach and introduce specific units on learning in the classroom. So essentially guest speakers for experts in their field being able to come into the classroom and speak to students. We've also got reading intervention programs for small groups of students would address academic loss and provide support for social emotional learning, also building while building a strong connection with another teacher. These programs would also support retention and recruitment of students. We also have another comment about the need for more custodians so that schools can be properly clean and disinfected to keep students and staff safe. Another comment about funding for more health insurance for employees, being more transparent about the different programs, PPO, HDHP, and HSA accounts. And also, in addition to more special ed support for inclusion classrooms, we could use more interventionists. Thank you. Another comment is professional development for interventionists and how to use programs effectively. One more, talking about retention, which I think is a great point. You know, families don't want to send their students to schools where they don't have access to AC, restrooms, or adequate water fountains. And some schools have consistently needed new equipment and facilities and have up to 15 classes in portable buildings that are in really bad shape. families that don't feel like their children are safe at school will then send them to other districts, which affects retention. Another comment is about the need for a comprehensive plan to improve middle school reading comprehension. And that's what we've got for now.
Great. Thank you, Vivian. Charlie, I believe you said you're ready, got figured out your speaker?
I did. Thank you so much, Leslie. So I did teach summer school for a group of K-1 students, and it was a great experience. I did definitely see a lot of gaps when it came to reading and writing from working, especially with the kinders. And so I think for academic loss, it would be very beneficial to allow like intervention groups after school as tutoring. I've had several students where they might not meet the criteria for reading recovery, but they still were in dire need of almost daily one-on-one support because they weren't reading at home. In terms of educational technology, I think it would be very helpful, and I don't know if Tech Services has done this, but to have like a cow or some type of charging station for each classroom, because having 20 computers on the counter for multiple cords, that takes up a lot of space in the classroom. The other thing is we were turned on to a lot of wonderful programs when we were teaching remotely, such as Seesaw and Generation Genius. I would hope that we would take the best of what we learned teaching online and integrate it into our current practices. For mental health, I echo the sentiments of the school gardens being a place where children can really connect. They love working in the garden. I mean, and Moses Thompson has done a fabulous job. I think we should lean on him more for all schools in the district, not just a few of them. And then in regards to for social emotional, we need some type of curriculum. I think it would be very helpful for those that don't buy into teaching social emotional learning if we rolled out a curriculum specific to like K2, 3, 5, 6 to 8, etc. Because that way they don't have to make it up themselves. We're giving them something to follow to make it easier. And then in regards to personal protective equipment and minimizing transmission, there are carpets in some room and they're honestly quite disgusting. I got put in a room with no carpet, which I love because I could clean it so easily anytime I needed to. But now I'm back in my kindergarten room and I can point out how many times children have urinated on the carpet, regurgitated. I mean, and it's all stuck in there. And I think that it would be much easier to clean classrooms, really clean them without carpets. And then also, I think after school clubs is an excellent way, like chess clubs and STEAM clubs and garden clubs. And I do think teachers should be compensated accordingly for their time. Someone else mentioned decreasing it. I think many teachers feel undervalued across the country, not just in our district. So I would say don't reduce the stipend and just to provide, because that they're eager for connections and that would provide a forum for them to do that.
Terrific. Thank you, Charlie, for those great ideas. Let's see, we have a couple comments still in the chat. So Lillian Martinez suggested for school safety having full-size emergency respond first aid kits for the staff. And then there was also one additional comment from Kelly O'Brien regarding retention and how this needs to become an important issue for our district and our board to help address. Anyone else, if you want to speak, please put your name and your school or department in the chat. Vivian, do you have any other comments? Otherwise, we're getting close. We have a few more minutes before 5 o'clock, but want to make sure we give everybody an opportunity. Vivian, do you have anything else?
Not a ton. Our comments are starting to slow down. Just a lot of comments showing support for the people that are speaking in the Zoom meeting, and some other comments here. So there's a lot of really great support in the Facebook comments right now. One of the newer ideas we did get it was referring to ensure that air conditioning works on all of our buses, which obviously is a huge issue, especially during the summer. We just got a new comment. To decrease academic loss, we need to fund evening programs. And
Vivian, can you repeat that? You're a little bit muffled.
Sorry. We just got a new comment. To decrease academic loss, we need to fund evening programs and weekends for families, of school events, theater events, arts, music, things like that. Pay the TUSD employees to be there and coordinate events. That was a comment we just received on Facebook. And that's what we've got for now.
Great, thank you. And then I see Josh Warren from Saguaro would like to speak again. You have one more idea, Josh? Josh, are you there? Would you like to share your idea?
Sorry, I always manage to forget to unmute.
Oh, no, you're totally fine. Thank you.
Just very, very quickly, hotspots is another thing that we really need to look at. We are, at least at our school, we're going to be going one-to-one. So all the students will have laptops. And the big issue is we've got a lot of students out there who just don't have the funds for bandwidth at home. And so they're rushing around town trying to find a hotspot. That's not good. So we really need to, I think, support the special programs that school has done in the past for making sure kids get in the bandwidth they need.
Absolutely, that's one very important. So thank you for that idea. Lillian had another thought on school safety. If there's a possibility of adding some more school safety vehicles so that the school safety officers aren't having to share their vehicles with each other during the workday, that would be helpful. Vivian, you have a couple more Facebook comments that you wanted to share?
Yeah, we've got two more that just came in, or a couple more that came in. One is referring to the Character Strong program, which I personally not familiar with, but hopefully John or Renee, someone can look that up or make a note of it. Another comment with regards to retention and academic loss: give interventionists and specialists an actual classroom. It's difficult for a reading interventionist to work with individual students or small groups in the hallway. They don't have a separate space. And then another comment with regards to, I think, Lauren's comment, is incorporating connections with the laptops that we provide to students to be helpful. Another comment.
Can you repeat that last one? We've lost you.
Yeah, incorporating connections with the laptops that we provide.
Okay.
And then another that came in, the district should update front offices to attract new families coming in. And that's what we've got for now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And then we're down to about our last 4 minutes. So if you haven't been called on and want to be, please put your name in the chat. right now. Otherwise, we'll wrap up with one last comment that was written which says, I agree, from Alma in Inguez, says, I agree with air conditioners working at schools, but also in the departments. Family community engagement has two areas where the AC is needing support, at the Duffy Clothing Bank and the office at Menlo for the McKinney-Vento team. So those would be additional ideas of some upgrades that we need to do. Any other comments? Otherwise, John or Renee, would you like to wrap us up today?
All right, if there are no other comments, just want to thank everybody. Just so you're aware, your schools, a lot of the ideas align with what your schools are turning in and the departments have turned in. So I think this is a 3-year grant. I think keep the conversations going in your schools and make sure your principals and your department heads are aware of the needs. And we want to make sure we're getting these funds directed to the areas that are important to our staff and are needed in our school, and really make a big, deep impact with them over the next 3 years. That's our intent. And I just want to thank everybody for providing the ideas today. And we want to start putting these ideas to practice here. So thank you again for the ideas you all shared tonight.
John, I have one question, just a follow-up question that I guess we didn't answer, was what do we think the timing is on some of this, getting some of these things funded?
Sure. So example, I guess I'll give you is ESSER 3. We are gathering the input here, and we need to get your input before we start building the grant, before we start allocating the funds. So because these are grants, we have to apply for them. So there is, it's not like we have the money, in our hands right now. So there is a bit of a delay in the grants as we gather these. Again, it's 3 years, and we already have ESSER $2 that are going into the schools. That's how we're able to get summer school going. There are plans for technology in getting the one-to-one devices out to the students. Things like Promethean boards and getting updates within the schools is all part of their plan. A lot of it right now is that we're at the very beginning of it, and we're trying to get the most, kind of critical things into the schools right away to start the school year. Things like the laptops is a big priority, I know. So I think patience maybe is one of the big things. It's 3 years. We're right at the beginning of the 3 years. And, you will start to see these things phased in as we go through the school year.
Wonderful. Thank you.
I did, sorry, Leslie, we, just regard to what John just said, we did have a comment with regard to ESSER 3 funds. Will we get 1/3 of the money each year? Is that how it works? Or because we said it was over 3 years. So that comment just came in onto Facebook.
No, it's, we have that allocated to us. We build our grant really, for the 3 years, but we're able to do updates and revisions. So yeah, it's not split into 3 separate chunks. As we go through those years, if things change, we're able to make revisions to it. But yeah, look at it as a 3-year grant is what we have, not year by year.
Thank you.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. We really appreciate your input and all your ideas. As I said, everything is being recorded and documented. We do have an ESSER page that just went up today on the district website, TUSD1.org/ESSER, where all of this information and the recording will go up. If you ever would like to look at anything or would like to re-review where we are. So thank you again. Have a wonderful night and a wonderful 4th of July if we don't speak with you.